Painting project management. I am so pumped to show you guys the latest version of Paint OS and the operating system that I think any painting company in 2025 should be using to run their painting business. So if managing your projects, paying subcontractors, invoicing clients, keeping track of expenses, bringing in time tracking data, all that stuff under one roof inside this amazing Airtable base that we have built from scratch over the last 6 months. What I'm about to show you is something that I'm super excited about and I think is going to change a lot of painting businesses. So let's dive in. First thing I want to say is we are rapidly iterating and making improvements on this. So I'm actually including the rest of this video is a walkthrough that we were giving to a client of this base that we're about to launch for them, and going through all the little details and use cases and random scenarios that might come up. So I thought this was just really great. They had a lot of good questions, which you might have as well. So take a look, watch this, and then drop your comments down below. Are you curious if this is capable of doing anything else? What part do you think is most valuable? Where are you wasting the most time in your painting project management? And let me know in the comments below. Now, let's get into this walkthrough of the Boolean Paint OS Airtable system. What I'm showing here is the, and I don't know why I didn't mentally store this. Is it Ryan?
Yep.
Okay, I did mentally store. Yes, that's good. So the, what I'm viewing right now is the coordinator interface on the side. So I always like emphasizing that, first of all, depending upon how many videos you watched or your knowledge of Airtable, I like to just give, this is more just to be like, what's the word? Like the shock and awe factor is why I like doing this. There's all of these tables. If you're familiar with Google Sheets, think of it as like tabs. They're similar, but there's some differences. But all of these tables each have a whole bunch of columns for all the different data points that are needed to track and report and do, like, run the business. So the jobs table, for example, has, I think it's 227 columns or something with different data points. This would be an absolute nightmare for you to try to schedule jobs with looking at just spreadsheets and spreadsheets of stuff. So what is happening, and on the front end, is we are able to selectively show very specific like data points to crew leaders, to sales reps, to you, to owner, whoever they want. And it could be based on like proprietary or confidential stuff that you don't want to show. But most often it's just more efficient for you to do your job if we just show you the information that you need to know at the time that you need to know it. So just keep in mind that all the interfaces that I'm about to go through are just like, you know, there's way more information than you're seeing in the card. And if you're like, hey, could I also see whatever? The answer is probably yes. We could bring that to the surface, but there's some strategy in like, when do you need to see it? Because you probably don't want to see like expenses and job costing information when the job comes in, right? So we're trying to be more intentional on showing you like the color form that the customer needs to fill out in the beginning, because that needs to get completed so that the crew can get there and do the work, right? So just keep in mind that there's a ton of stuff that's in the background, and it's good for you. Like, I want you to be asking questions as I go through this and be like, hey, like that's not quite how I do this. What if we did it this way? Sometimes some things I might say, sorry, you can't, like, you got to adopt our new system. But other things would be like, yeah, absolutely. Let's just modify this and do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is an example of, I just put in a bunch of fake data because we don't have yours yet. But you can imagine there's going to be jobs that are in all different stages of the process. And so you come in and you look at all of your projects that are on the board. I'm going to use this Elmer Lang one as the example for today, but I open this up and I have a number of tasks that need to get completed. And the Ethan Brown would be you. So Ethan Brown is the coordinator on this, but we're going to make you the coordinator. So all tasks that are relevant to you handling that job will be shown in this section down here. When a job first comes in, the first thing you need to do is invoice for it. So there's a little card at the top that you click into. And depending on the payment terms, remind me, do you guys just do 20 and 80 or 25, 75?
It's usually 2080.
Okay. So let's say I'm gonna switch it to 1090 just so you can see this. But if these were empty, when this comes in and it has 20 and 80, it's going to auto calculate the deposit. And you guys are probably you guys will occasionally do a scheduling deposit if it's like I'm booking for 4 months, 5 months from now. In that scenario, how much do you ask for?
20%, but I think this would be more like Bridget setting up the payment and stuff, right?
Potentially. The thing is that for Ryan to do this, all of this stuff is going to be auto calculated. And so for Ryan to do the deposit, he just comes in here and sees, this is like, I'm in the job. I go here and I say, generate and send, let's do the job start deposit. So I generate and send the deposit. That's literally all you have to do. And the customer is going to get the deposit for the $1,200, the invoice. Then I go back. And now I need to get some details from the customer on the project, and I haven't gotten that yet. So I'm going to put in here Chris at hello Boolean. And this again would already be filled. I'm just putting in my email so I can show you what they get. So when I click send job details link to customer, they're going to get an email from you, or sorry, from your like hello at integrity email that we have on file. And I'll show you what that email looks like. And this is for them to share information on like what's the what color information and stuff what colors are they going to go with? I'll show you. Here's the email. So it'll look similar to this. Hey Elmer, we're excited for your project to start soon. Before we begin, we need some information. So I click this job checklist or job details list. And the customer can verify that all that information is correct. Can I park in your driveway? Yes. Yes, you can place a yard sign, use the downstairs. So, and this is all filled out by the customer. I'm just showing you what they would see. All you had to do was press that button, right? The gate code to get into our community is 1234. And we probably aren't going to have the special requirements. We can take that off for you guys. And then I have to click that if you have any things that you want the homeowner to acknowledge, we can modify that as well.
We don't have any gate keys. We don't have any gated communities, so
that can probably be removed.
Or you could put like, how do we get in, or who's going to meet us there, or what?
Maybe you put door code.
Yeah, what's the door code, or
Yeah.
Put door code.
You take a note of that, Nathan.
Door code instead of gate code.
Yeah, I put like the key, or how do we get in, or what's the door code, or anything like that. But
just like, would it be like, how do we, any instructions for getting into your home?
Yeah, how do we get access to your house, or whatever.
Okay.
There's no gated communities here.
So,
and then would we just change map that field in Airtable, Chris? Like pick an existing one and change it, or would you make a new one for like the new question?
Either one's fine. It's not Prismatic doesn't do anything with it. So, but yeah, so this is the I'm just going to modify this template right now. So you said the wording, I want to get the wording correct, was we're going to change this to be, how do we get access?
Yeah.
Property.
Or actually, should we say which door should we use? Or no, how will we enter the house?
Yeah.
That's that's why the example that I'm showing you, we actually already thought of that. I'm
Okay,
when that happens. The reason you didn't see it is because it's an exterior project, and so it only shows up if it's interior.
Maybe instead of gate code, they have door code.
yeah, and we need to get into the bathroom if we're doing the exterior. We need to get the doors open too, so we can paint the doors.
So probably keep it open or keep it on
Right.
anyways.
Yeah, even if it's a commercial job, we still need to get in.
How will we enter the house?
Yeah.
And that kind of covers the door code and
Project,
the
or how
yeah.
do how will we enter the project
enter the project
or gain access to the project? I don't know.
premises. Do you gonna say
Enter.
how will we enter? That's fine, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I go back to customer just submitted that. And then oh, and we don't have the color information on there. I always forget about that. Do you guys just general or preference on when you right now, do you have a process for getting colors?
Usually, like the sales guys will ask them if they have, like, if they know their colors, and then if they don't, then we'll send them to the designer, and the designer will get with them. And then before we start the project, we'll have to get with the designer to see what the colors are.
Okay. So yeah, I'm going to put it here. We're going to take off this special requirement. So color info and so if you're dealing with someone that can't use technology, you could call them and you can just type in their answers. These are the same questions and you can just fill this out. But if let's say 50%, maybe 70% of people are going to do the form, they fill this out and then the answers that they put inside of the form. So I'm going to put the color information, or I want black and white. And so I submit that. Oh, forgot to hit these. And so then back in the form here, the information that they submit is going to be visible to you here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So those are the two things that we need is the invoice and then those color forms in the first stage. Once the invoice, like you find out that it's been paid. So I would say, okay, they have paid the job start deposit invoice. You can see now on the board here, it's green on the side. So green means that the deposit's been paid and we can move it forward. So in order for me to move it to scheduled, I need to figure out when I'm going to do this job. So I can first, from this view, I go over to the timeline. And this is going to show me all of the different projects that are on the various crews calendars right now. And so I could go over and say, I want David to do this project, and he's not available until the 10th, for example. So right now you've got, because we put in a whole bunch of fake data this morning, there's a lot of jobs that don't have dates yet. But normally you would have, probably, I don't know, 5 to 10 jobs that still need a place on the calendar. And so let's find the Elmer Lang one right here. You can actually search for it as well. So I'm going to just search for Lang. So the one that we were just messing with, I think was this first, or no, this, I can't remember which one it was. I think it's this one. So we're going to say, I'm going to put Elmer Lang onto David's calendar to start on February 7th. Right? Now, if I go back to my Kanban view, I have the, so this was 506 AC1. So it was that other one. Let me go back to timeline.
Yeah.
January 23rd to the 20th. And I'm going to move this to there. So now I've just put it on the calendar from the 13th to the 21st of February. So when I'm looking at the Kanban view here, here's the dates that I put on that other view are in here. and the lead that I assigned is David because I drug it to David's calendar. And now I can say let's say that these dates are not flexible, which would be rare. Normally you would say, most people are going to say, yeah, I'm flexible with when if you need to move me. But occasionally you might come across someone that's like, do not change the date because we're going to be gone for just these days and it has to happen. So if that's the case, you could mark that it's not a flexible timeline. And then I can move this to scheduled. And then if I go back to look here, now let's exit out of that. Now I have this Elmer Lang project that's scheduled. And the last thing that I needed was the colors. So I'm good there now. And then, and we have a bunch of these getting recreated because I keep moving the same job around. But so these are the things that I needed from this customer. So I'm going to say I have communicated a rough timeline to the customer. So I'm done with that one. I actually don't need to order any equipment for this. So I'm going to clear that one. The color, they just confirmed the colors. So I'm good there. Special equipment, don't need it. And then I just ordered my preliminary paint. So I'm going to mark that one done. So now I've completed all the steps that I need to do in the ready stage. So I'm going to now move the project to ready. And then there's nothing else. Ready is for like, there's nothing else for you to do. The crew can show up and they can start working. So any tasks that you have in the back of your mind of what you want, like what are all the things that you need to do in order to get a project ready to go? We want to have those in our system, templated out so they get created, and then you can go to any project and be like, wait, what did I need to do with Nan's job to get him ready? Like, oh, actually, I'm already done with all my tasks for Nan, so I can go ahead and move this one to ready now. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then at any time, you can just go back and see. So Joe Baker, and they must not have the reason that this one doesn't have let me change one thing on this.
This sounds like something like an office assistant could just like put together on all the jobs real quick.
Yeah, the state or the what's the word I'm looking for? If you can identify what the tasks are, the tasks get auto created for you. So like I'll show you when I move this, because I have a coordinator assigned, which is Ethan or Ryan in your case. As soon as the job moves to scheduled, there's a series of tasks that are going to get created automatically. Right here you can see. And so these are tasks that get created and assigned to whoever the coordinator on the project is in order for those to show up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you guys get to tell us what are the tasks that you want to have show up at each stage. And I personally recommend probably not more than like 3 or 4 per stage. So and it's totally fine if there's just one thing you need to do. It's just like the easy to forget, really important task.
Colors, and that's about it. I mean, we don't need them to talk about equipment rentals.
But it is nice though if you have it, like at least it shows people, so then it's ready. All it does is like if there's no equipment rentals, all you do is just put
Done. Yeah.
Because
done.
we only
Yeah.
have like equipment rentals on like 3 or 4 jobs. Really, I mean, not for residential.
And this is solely for residential. It's not for.
Well,
Any
this, if it is
commercial or
for
new
commercial, this is gonna send it to Sam and then want Sam to fill it out.
See, that's what I was wondering.
Sam's not gonna fill that out.
Yeah.
None of
So
the commercial guys are gonna fill any of this out.
I would say that you want to make sure that you're only selecting or that we only are creating tasks for the 80% of projects that it applies to, right? There's always going to be random ones. There's like, oh, that doesn't
Colors
make
is
sense.
about it, right? That's what we always seem to be asking. Colors and products are the only thing, but like a lot of the commercial jobs, like, can we just delete the task if it's a commercial job? We could just delete all those tasks and move it to ready.
Yep, exactly. And you can, I mean, technically, you can move it to ready whenever you want. Those are literally just to help you.
It's just like a little checkpoint.
Oh, you don't have to send all of them in.
Yeah, I could say, oh, I'm not going to do those and just delete it. Like for Ray Heinrich, let's say, if I'm like, yeah, none of these, I don't need any of these, so I'm just going to select all of them. I'm going to keep colors there and I delete that. All I need to do is this. But even if I didn't, let's say I still moved it to ready, it's not going to go away. It's still telling me like, hey, you never confirmed the colors.
Oh, so then when they get there, they know they still got to get colors confirmed.
Well, this would be Ethan's task. If Ethan wanted to say, Ethan could reassign and say, hey, Angel is the lead on this. So I'm just telling Angel, like, hey, I'll put in a note here, customer hasn't decided yet.
Yep.
And now Angel would see it. But if he doesn't reassign who owns that task, then it's still his.
Oh, okay.
But then
That
like,
makes
if
sense.
I got it, then I'd do it and then put confirmed.
Exactly. Yep.
Correctly, yep.
Yeah, so once that's done, then so now we're in ready. Then when we switch to in progress, I have a question because we haven't made a decision on this, and I'm curious, Nathan, if what you think most businesses would say. I'm debating having the system automatically switch it to in progress when the start date happens. Or do you feel like that would be like, is there a reason that we want companies to manually switch it to in progress? Because I feel like
Be
the
an automation.
coordinator's job should be, and Ryan, I'm curious to your opinion. The
Well, like-
coordinator's job should be to make sure that their calendar is accurate.
Yeah.
So if jobs get pushed, you should be pushing them before the day of, preferably. And
Yeah,
and
because like what happened just recently, we were supposed to start like 7 jobs in January, and we all had them for that date. And then those guys called us the day before and told them they're not going to be ready till February. So it's one of those things where that's already all set up in there. If you was supposed to start then we have to go in there manually to change that all. I think, having it start when,
the start date happens.
yeah, like having the person actually saying, it's in progress, because people change things all the time, and that'd be trying to go back in the system and see which one it said it and then changing it. I think it'd be better just to, because I talk with the guys every day on which jobs we're going to be starting. And so all I would do is have a list and then go in there and put in progress.
So you're saying don't put it in. You like the idea of you going in and choosing when it technically is in progress
I think that's better.
instead of having the system do it for you. Okay, that's
Yeah,
good feedback.
exactly.
So, and I want to cover that. Let's say that I'm going to go to the timeline view, and you also at any time you can switch between these 3 views.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the Kanban, timeline, and calendar. Any one of them shows you the exact same information. It's just presented in a calendar format, presented in a timeline format, or in a Kanban. But it's the same projects on all of the views. So if you were like the example you just said, let's say that these 2 projects that were supposed to start on Monday, they're like, hey, that's not going to happen until whatever.
Yep.
I can come in here and just say, okay, I'm just going to drag it. Or sorry, before I do that, I always recommend doing a month view instead of a week, because I
Okay.
just feel like it's nice to see more dates.
Little
So,
yeah.
If this job on Monday just got pushed to the 17th or whatever time frame, I just go, okay, it's now on the 17th. Angel's still going to do it. And then Joe Baker, David's still going to do that one. And that also is now going to start on where was it? Needs to go to the 24th, but now he's got another project. So I got to figure out, should I have someone else do this one, or can he still do that? So maybe I put this one on Dalton's calendar, but that's the ease of just like, you see everyone's schedule. You just have to make sure that it all like fits. And anytime that you see someone that's like double stacked like this, that generally, even if you were like looking over here, I know that David's got a conflict, and maybe that's on purpose and that's okay. But everyone should just have a single row. And so like this one here, Javier, I need to move this one to start on the 3rd. And then, you know what I'm saying? So it's really easy to adjust. And as soon as you adjust that, all of the dates and everything, when you click into the project, it all is updated in here, because we're just, again, switching which view we're showing it to you.
Sometimes we have guys where they work on multiple jobs in a day.
Yep.
Can you schedule 2 jobs for a guy in a day?
Yeah, it's just you can't go like hour by hour, but yeah, I could say, hey, Elmer, you're gonna, or sorry, David, you're doing both. Well, in this case, it's Elmer. Let's do it this way. You're gonna go to Joe Baker. Whoops, Joe Baker and Elmer, or maybe like let's say it's more like this. You're gonna wrap up Elmer's job and then start Joe Baker, for example. Like that's very common and easy to do.
Okay.
But yeah, that's how you would see like there is a conflict or not, and you could just be like, oh yeah, I know that that's on purpose, right?
Okay.
Okay, then the other, do you guys track hours, or you're all subs, so do you guys keep track of that?
No, so we have like half guys and half subs, and then we keep track of the guys on the workforce, their hour app.
Oh yeah, on QuickBooks Time.
Uh-huh.
Okay, cool. So like this one here, we'll say that this is in progress. So because this is now in progress, I'm going to say that it ends on the 14th. The up at the top here, I don't know if you care about this, but showing how many hours were estimated on the project versus how many they've actually used. So we're going to pull in the data from QuickBooks Time constantly. So you get to see how many hours have been worked versus what you budgeted to work.
Yeah.
I don't know if that affects you. I mean, I would say most coordinators have told me they like to see that because it kind of gives them a sense of how far through the project they are. And it's like, oh, they've only spent 5 hours. Then I know that there's no way they're halfway through, right?
Right.
And we can also show this information to crews. It just depends on like what is useful, but that's another thing that's tracked in the background.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's great.
I just want to interrupt this video real quick to say, if you are a painting company between $4 and $15 million, we are a company that is here to serve you. It is absolutely mind-boggling the amount of money and time and energy that painting companies of that size waste day to day in their business. And we exist basically because of YouTube, because you're able to find a video like this, and every person that watches videos on our channel is our ideal client. We don't work with any other services other than painting, and we know painting inside and out. So if you are a painter, especially between 4 and 15 million, please reach out, schedule a discovery call, and see how we can help you today. And then the last big piece here that I think is awesome is when a job is in progress, as it nears completion. So I don't know when you invoice, but most people, it's like either the last day or the as the project's wrapping up.
Maybe a couple of days before. Yep.
Yeah, when the project end date is within is tomorrow, or to like is within what's the word? When the end date is before tomorrow, on or before tomorrow. Up at the top here, you have final invoicing and job closeout. So what you do here is, and again, even you might think like, oh, I don't want to take over invoicing. We're trying to build this system so that it's like literally, if you're good to go and the project's done and the crews said everything's good, for you to invoice the customer, you literally just click final, generate, and send invoice, and that's it. And the customer is going to get an invoice for any change orders that were on the project. All that stuff gets wrapped up into it, and it's like managed. That's the process to send it.
Can you show me that tab again? How you got there, really quick?
Yep. So it's a piece that pops up at the top here when the job is nearing completion. So there's the invoicing component.
Okay.
And then there's also the job management, which over here, if as you're wrapping up or maybe the last day of the job, let's say I'm actually going to go back and say that we completed the job. So now the job is complete, and maybe on the post, well, actually, when you guys do a punch list or a touch up, does that happen before the crew technically says it's complete?
Usually what they'll say is they're getting pretty close, and then we'll have one of us come check it out, and then we'll do our walkthrough. I'll do the walkthrough with the homeowner, and then we'll bill it and invoice everything.
Okay. Because I would say that you could say that the project itself is completed.
Yep.
But let's say as I'm wrapping up or we do our post job walk, I can create a punch list project very quickly and easily. And that's the like touch up. So I click create punch list project.
Yeah.
And then it's going to make a project here down at the bottom that's still part of the same job. And it's specifically just it's not going to have any revenue tied to it. It's just another project. And I'm going to say this is interior. And this is if I click into this, I can see that this is a punch list for Javier, and he's going to go start doing that today. And he should be done today. Just a few things. And, but it also could be, oh, the customer called you 24 hours later and they want this punch list to happen, next Wednesday when they're home for whatever reason. Now, when I go look at the calendar, so this is for Robert Baratheon. And let's go, did I assign it to a person as well? Let me double check that.
Javier.
Oh yeah, it is on Javier. So Javier on the 5th. So if I go back and look at the schedule here on Javier's, I can see that there's this punch list project that's on his schedule. So he's got to leave his non-job to go, do that little punch list and then go back to his other work. Does that make sense?
Is there a way to tell people what time to show up, or like to let the leads
so
know?
we do have notes, which would be like timeline notes,
Okay.
or we have project notes here.
Okay, that works out perfect.
Yeah, you could say, and we could even show like that's actually a good idea. We'll say they need you to come around 4 p.m. or whatever. And then back on this, we could pull up, whoops, and modify this.
Yeah, thanks for the update.
So now when you click this, it's just right in that view of any project notes that you want to
That's
quickly
awesome.
tell them. Okay, so there's that. Then what else? Trying to think of other. Do you have any like, ooh, what do you do in this scenario, or what are the nightmares that you have right now that are hard to manage?
I guess the only thing would be just like getting calls randomly through the day and saying that like someone's sick and then having to change the whole schedule, or some homeowners are really upset and then they need to get guys over there right away because something's not done. And then that's usually the big thing, is trying to figure out like who's actually available to have them go over there.
Yeah, that's a good question. So what is the solution there? How do you manage that right now? How would you find out who is available?
I have a list of like everybody that I have, and then I have
And
like
these are not necessarily leads, but anyone.
yeah, like I have like a list of leads, I have a list of helpers, and then so like if something pops up, I always have an idea on like who's kind of available. And then that's another thing, is like I have to know like literally what everybody's doing all day, because we have like 3 different project managers, and then somebody calls in from them, so then I have to know like what everybody's doing, so then I know who to like pull from a job that's not important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty difficult to do in real time. But I think like no matter what, you're always gonna have things like that.
Yeah. I'm trying, if you have ideas, or Nathan, I'm trying to think. It's hard to, you don't want to build a system for chaos, because the goal
Yeah,
is that there's
exactly.
less, the goal is that there's less chaos with a better system. But we do need to have a good plan in place for like, how do you quickly do that or see that? We do have this other view here that is called the all team schedule.
Uh-huh.
And it might not be exactly what you're wanting, but I'll show you how this is set up. So it's grouped by what's it called? It's associated people. And so this is a way that you can view everybody that is associated to the project or to this is like everyone's schedule. So you could go through anyone in the company and see where they are, like which projects they're, and it's not, this is the part that kind of confuses people on this one it's where they are associated to projects. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's where they're working, but
Right.
you could at least see that someone was listed as a lead on 2 projects on this day, or 2 different projects, and you would see that, if that makes sense. So when I'm on this all team schedule, I can go through but the only way that this would serve you or be valuable is when you're scheduling the projects. If you're actually putting like in this members field, you can think of members. I heard you say helpers. That you have to make sure that you can only assign 1 lead to any project. So there's only 1 lead and 1 manager, but you could put 6 people as members on a project, and they could also be leads in other scenarios. It's just that right now they're just another person working.
Right.
And that's how when you add people to members, then when you go to the all team schedule, that's where you would see, like let's do Angel. I'm going to put him on. Let's do Elmer Lang's project. So I'm going to add Angel to this one. Oh, he's not listed as an available member.
CB lead, right?
Yeah, but we can set it up to allow that. But yes, exactly. Like you can, it's basically to prevent accidentally putting like a crew member in the manager or whatever.
That
But
makes
let's
sense.
say I put Philip on this one, and this is from the 7th to the 17th. So now when I go back to here, we have the all team schedule, and I go down to Philip Mock, and then the 7th to the 17th, I can see Philip is associated to that project for that time frame.
And let's say like people are sick, then would I have to like go in there and like take that guy off for the day, or would like just the hour thing would do that, and then just it'd be like those 2 guys are for that job, but it just happened to be like that guy was gone for 2 days. Like I wouldn't have to like screw with it, or if I replaced him, then would I have to put like a new person in for those 2 days?
Yeah, so that's the way that this is set up is basically it's showing you it's going to say, it's kind of a weird thing where it's not technically a like shift schedule, you could call it. It's just saying that Diana is associated to this project, which
That's
starts
going to
on
be
the
like the
7th.
crew, like the main lead is that guy. And then, so like if the people underneath, it's not really a big issue if maybe for like a day or 2, that guy wasn't on there, but it'll
Yeah, they
track
can
all the
go.
hours to it.
Yeah, it's literally just by having someone as a member, it gives, because you get to see everything because you're the coordinator, but the crew members are viewing here. So if I go change this to say, I'll show you, it shows a preview. If I wanted to view this as whatever, somebody else, I don't know if we have I don't think we have users assigned. Let me change one thing. So like right now, I'm going to say that Angel right here. Oh, actually, I already had him as me. So my user, the admin at Hello Boolean, is basically assigned to Angel right now. Oh, actually, sorry, I'm logged in as Boolean support. So I'm going to say that Boolean support, which is this is like the Airtable user that I'm logged into, is currently assigned to the person in the system, Angel. So now I'm going to view this as Boolean. So I'm looking at myself. When I go to the members table, these are the projects that Angel is associated with. So that's all he gets to see. And if he wants to view it in a calendar view, he can and see, okay, these are the different projects that I'm assigned to, and that's where I'm going. And these are, this is kind of odd that Angels is all Oh, that's why. It's another thing we caught here. It doesn't have an end date. Let's put an end date. It's like, why are they all just one day? So yeah, I could see this is Angel's perspective, and I can see only the projects that I'm associated with. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
But you would have to still have it would be up to the lead of the project, probably, I'm guessing, to tell Angel, hey, I know that you've got Elmer and Ray Heinrich on the 17th. We don't need you on Elmer's job, so you're going to Ray on that day. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
These are good questions. Anything else?
I'm sure there'll be some that kind of pop up, but I feel like for the most part, I know what you're saying. I think it's gonna take me a little bit to mess with it.
Yeah, the biggest thing I tell everybody is this is like your home base is the projects under coordinator. That's where you're going to do 90% of your stuff. And then you just remember that if you want to look at different timeline or calendar, you can, but it's always under projects. And then you just click into the project to get a glimpse of what needs to get done.
The status, yep.
Yeah. If you want to see I didn't even go over this, but if you want to see the quote, you can click the quote button and it opens up the Paint Scout quote. It's right there. You want to open up Company Cam. You guys use Company Cam, right?
I think we just got back into it. We were using it for a while, and then I think he just got it back.
Okay, so yeah, then that's another thing that we probably should have on this.
Yeah, we don't know we don't know how to integrate it or use it or anything on this program. So
Yeah, it'll all be integrated automatically. Oh, and I forgot, we do have Company Cam is there. It's just this project doesn't have it. So if the project that you're on doesn't have a Company Cam link, then it's just not showing that because it would be broken anyways. Who puts in expenses for you guys?
Bridget.
Okay, so for logging expenses, so let's say that on the Ray Heinrich job, she can come into, and I'm trying to think, it's possible that she might also, I probably would recommend that she uses the same interface and she's just doing different things than Daniel or than Ryan is. But if you needed to log an expense here, I click log expense, and then I'm going to say this is a material cost. The amount was $75. The vendor was Sherwin-Williams, and I'm going to throw a receipt in here. There's my receipt. And then when I submit this back on the project, I now can see that my total actual expenses for materials is $75. And there's my expense that I just uploaded. And so same thing would be true. Like, let's say that you had a piece of equipment that you needed. So I'm going to say I needed to do the equipment rental, and this was $150. The vendor was Shell. And once again, do this, throw the receipt in, upload. And then when I go back to that job, now I can see that my material total is 75. My equipment total is 150. Here are my two expenses that are on the job so far. And then if you needed to pay a subcontractor, who keeps track of that?
Usually what we'll do is we'll come up with the payment or what we agree on, and then we let Bridget know how much the sub's getting paid. And then after they get it done,
Do you decide how much the sub gets paid?
yeah, either me or another project manager.
Okay, because that's an interesting, we'll have to think of where to edit that. But in this case, this is saying that we agreed to pay the sub $120. We haven't paid him anything, and we still owe him $120. So in this case, because Angel is the lead, let's go look inside of the people table. Angel. So Angel's listed as a subcontractor, and he needs to, each subcontractor in your system needs to be associated with a vendor inside of your QuickBooks. So, and this is just setup stuff. So let's say that I'm Angel, the vendor name is Chris. Well, let's do the Mirabel Coatings. So let's say that Angel's business is Mirabel Coatings. So now that, and again, once you map this correctly for each sub, when you're in the, where was that for? Which one were we just on? Was it Joe Baker?
I thought it was Baratheon. I don't know. Or what you were talking?
Trying to remember which one we assigned him to. I guess I can go here to see. So let's go to Angel and this one.
Ray Henrik. Okay.
Okay, so when I'm in here, I owe Angel $120. So this is another thing where I would say my opinion would be that you as the PM still manages creating the bills to pay them. And this is a key thing to understand, is that you doing what I'm about to show you does not actually cut them a check. It just makes a bill record in QuickBooks for someone that your bookkeeper or Bridget to go in and pay those bills. So for example, I'm going to say, I'm going to create a QBO bill sub payment or payment for sub. And it auto-filled everything in here with the amount that I'm agreed to pay him. Let's say for whatever reason, you're like, I know we owe him 120 total, but I'm going to only pay him 45 to start. And so I submit this. When I go back to here, it says I've already paid him 45. We still owe him another 75 to hit our budget of 120. And inside of QuickBooks, there's a bill that exists now that is already assigned to the correct vendor. So if you get your subs direct deposit set up, it's like crazy easy for Bridget or whoever to just look at all the unpaid bills and then just submit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Any questions on that?
Can you do that one more time?
Yeah. So if I'm going to pay the sub, and sorry, one other note. If let's say there's a lot of this stuff that's just really nice, I think if you had a different sub here that was not, or you had a different lead that was not a sub. So let's say that it looks like maybe Angel's the only one capable of doing this project type. Well, I'll come back to what I was going to say. So yeah, if I want to pay him again, so you can pay as many times to a sub as you want, but every time you click that sub bill payment, it auto fills whatever the total amount is that we still owe him. And then you can manually change that if you want. So now
how do you put how much, because that was just the payment, right? Like how much you paid him. How much?
Yeah, you're saying, how do you decide how much we are going to pay?
Yeah.
Yeah. So down here under, at the top of the page, which I've been spending a lot of time,
Yeah.
this section is all dynamically changing. At the very bottom is where we have like stuff that you can just always find no matter what. So when you're managing the job and the project or the finances, there's two options here. You'd actually go into the job management. And then this is where you see all of the job is the overall contract, and it's split into projects. So in this case, I've got a cabinet project that's part of the job, a carpentry one, and an interior painting one. And then this is my total hours on the contract was 100. So those hours get split up, 50 hours on the first project, 30 on the next, 20 on the next, and so on. In this case, my job subcontractor expense total for the whole contract was $210, which is kind of silly because it's a $10,000 job. So let's say that it was actually supposed to be $2,100. Right now, down here, it's telling me that I have a budget of what I'm paying the sub. That's $1,890 that I need to assign to which sub is getting that, like which project gets that money. Does that make sense? So on the job, I've got a $2,100 total amount. The first project, which let's say is done by Angel, is going to get $750 of that. The second project, which is the carpentry, we have a random sub carpenter that we're having do that, and he's going to get paid $225 on that. And then the last project was for the interior painting, and the remaining amount that is unassigned is the 1,065. So I'm going to put all 1,065. Oh, wait, plus the 60 that was already there. So that would be 125. And now once I have that correct, now I've taken the total amount that we've agreed to pay subs and properly split it out over the different projects that are getting completed. So what you were just seeing inside of here, because this is, I'm just inside of the first project of Ray's job, right? And so Angel is the lead on that first project, and the project that I was in, the first project, the total subcontractor expense is $750 just for that. But there's also subs or different people that are getting paid for other parts of the project. But when I'm inside of this project number 1 for Ray Heinrich, down in that subcontractor section, the total amount that I agreed to pay Angel on this one was $750. And I've already paid him $120, so I still owe him $630. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And this is probably like, this piece is probably one of the most, it's not crazy complex, but once you wrap your head around that, that you can have the job with multiple projects, you just got to make sure your job budget and your project budgets align, right? So if you have one project, then it's the same as your job. The job budget and project budget match. But when you have multiple projects, the job budget is what it is, and you have to distribute those resources for hours, for revenue, for expenses across the various projects that you have. But if you just have, most of your jobs are just going to be single project jobs, so you're barely ever going to think about that. But yeah, if you have multiple project jobs, then you can always see what other projects are associated. And I can jump into, okay, I was just looking at this one. I want to go look at the second project, which Angel also happens to be doing. So I click that. And now I just, you might not have noticed, but it just changed. So now I'm viewing number 2.
Yeah.
And I'm still in the same exact like layout. I'm just, this is all information relevant to project number 2 now, or this one, and so on.
Okay.
Chris, one thought I had is we ought to throw like a color flag on the Kanban view for any projects that are a part of a job that have unassigned revenue.
Did that already.
Great. Good idea.
Good thinking. I like where your head's at. I'll show you. So like, yeah, if this was unassigned revenue, expenses, or any of those, or over assigned, let's say that you did 30 and you didn't notice that you were over hours, Dan or Ryan, when you go back to this, it takes a few seconds for the system to process and catch that error, but the name of the job or the project is going to get little warnings. So that basically tells you, and you can see that on the schedule here as well. So I can see that Ray Heinrich has a little warning. So you're never going to miss that. And when you open it up, right at the top, it's telling you like, hey, your resources aren't correctly distributed. So I open this up and now I just need to look, and it's telling me I'm off by hours. So my hours are off. So I need to say, oh, was that like, which one of these is wrong? Because I'm 10 hours over. So I could say, I'm going to lower this one by 5 and this one by 5. And now my hours are correct. And then the warning, again, it takes like 15 seconds to go away. But when you go back to the schedule here, then those will disappear from all the Ray Heinrich jobs.
Okay.
So Chris, go to the Kanban view, and maybe we want to do this for put it in the name, but in ready, I put a color filter to just make it yellow if there's any pre-production tasks that are not complete and a stage is in ready. So it's telling you it's in ready, but there are tasks that are not completed yet that are pre-production And
yeah.
and pre-production is supposed to get done before it's ready. So it's just giving you like a warning there. I don't know if you wanted to do something like that with the name. The name would be a more obvious thing, but
Yeah, I would say I think that's good because they're yeah. And the only other thing I'm thinking is depending on how you set this up, yeah, you can sort by
Does
unassigned,
it tell you like the total,
uncompleted pre-production tasks assigned.
does it tell you like the total amount of money completed and the total amount of money in progress? It does.
say that again.
Tells them
Money, just like production.
production
Rates,
hours.
yeah. Does it like tell you like how much you completed for the year, like, and then how much like you're doing at the moment? Oh wow.
Yeah, so this is the dashboard, and this is anytime we're dealing with fake data, you're going to see a lot of things that probably look weird. So like we had a $45 project just a second ago I was showing you guys. But yeah, so this is the backlog of stuff that's scheduled to start in the future. And this is like by default our setup. If there's specific things that you want to see, let me know and we can like modify this. But yeah, you can also see like how much was done in the last month. And it would show you, your total revenue produced, or down lower on the page, we can see how much revenue is scheduled in each month. And it just so happens that I only have revenue right now scheduled for February. But if I were to put revenue into March or April, you could come in here and see your forecasted revenue for each month. And this is where I think you had asked Daniel, or you mentioned that currently you guys don't put stuff on the calendar way in advance because it's going to move so much. And this is where, Ryan, in my opinion, every job that gets sold, you want to give it some sort of date in the future. You might not move it to ready because it's not, like, there's still some things that have to be confirmed or whatever. But if you can put the start and end dates approximately in the right spot, that's what's going to allow you to see, oh, we still need to get $50,000 more of revenue in April in order to hit our revenue for the year. And then as it gets closer, you adjust the dates and your reporting adjusts as well. And you obviously want to pull work forward as much as you can, but you always want to, like, sometimes people don't put dates on it because they don't have a good system to remember, like, this isn't a solid date. This was just a guess, right? And so that's the difference for us. Is scheduled is just, I put it on and I gave it to somebody, but ready is like, this is a good date. And then I move it to ready once it's like, a week out and we're definitely starting next Tuesday or whatever.
You scroll down a little bit, and then that's where it shows. So like that's your weekly revenue. So this
By project
one,
type.
yeah, by project type. So this is everything in the last 60 days. And then if you scroll down, does that change to? No. Okay, so change the date filter to like this.
Oh.
You could do like this calendar year. And then it's going to show you in the past and in the future what's on the calendar. So obviously, if it's in the past, it should be produced. But if it's on the calendar in the future, it's also going to show you what's on here, but broken down by week.
Ryan, you're going to be just like a wizard, just slicing and dicing things.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Like, so for example, these guys, they always like to add, so I'll tell them like only like 10 or 12 jobs, and then I'll show up on Monday and they added 7 more jobs for the week. And then they don't like to write like estimates for them. They just like us to start. So like you probably can't do that at all with this new system, right?
You're saying the estimators don't write estimates?
Sometimes they don't. They'll just tell us to start the job before we even start it. And then
Yeah, I would say
that won't work.
that, yeah, you got to have, there has to be a contract, and the thing is that we can make it easy for them to follow the system, but it's probably still going to be more work than being like, Ryan, go here and start painting tomorrow. Like that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
But you can do like, you know, there's a series of things that they have to do to get the job in. And one of
That's-
those is you can't, like, for example, inside of HubSpot, which is where they're going to be living to manage all their sales. The only way a job gets to you in Airtable is if in HubSpot, when they're winning a deal, they fill out all of the fields that are required to win a deal. So this is what they would see. And if I go to like, someone spelled Obi-Wan wrong. Hopefully that was on purpose. So if I move this to the one stage, then like as a sales rep, I can't even save it as a one deal unless I answer all these questions. And that's what's going to allow you to have all that automation with invoicing and all that stuff. So like if I don't put in the customer's name and all that, and all of this should be filled out for them. They're just verifying it because the system would pull it in from Paint Scout.
Mhm.
But if there are other things that you frequently need to get from sales that you don't, we can change what is required and make sure that they can't submit it to you unless they do those things. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, that's great.
I will say, like, just you'll want to get it in all of your heads. Like with systems, the upside is you can have so much more automation, and when a job follows the process, it can be really easy for everybody from the beginning to the end. But if you don't follow the process, it
Yeah, it's
becomes
not
a freaking complex. Like it doesn't work. Like it doesn't work.
Can't overstate that enough. Yeah.
It will.
Every
not
single
work.
person in your business will be Daniel's going to drive his Cybertruck up here and try and murder me. That's how bad it's going to get if you don't follow the system.
Yes.
He's gonna have to spend a lot of time charging it on the way over there.
So I'll have some time. Thank you so much for watching. Always enjoy doing this. I've been in the weeds for the last 6 months, really diving into all of the little details and nuances of all this stuff. I've got some really, really exciting things to share with you. So please like the video, subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.